Good afternoon. What a wonderful audience to be speaking to. Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming back from lunch. I do this every year, don't I? I talk about the future, what the chains are planning on opening in Africa, 54 countries, what they're planning on opening. But I'm actually, I'm going to start the presentation this time with what happened in the past. But before I do that, my pipeline report, I issue it in March, April each year. A little bit delayed this year, but the report will be available. The main report will be available in middle of April, so a couple of weeks, I'm hoping. Each year, I send emails out, I get on the phone, I get on the WhatsApp saying, please, to 53 chains in Africa and elsewhere, asking them to give me the data. I don't hunt around on the internet finding out what's going on. This is all based on data provided by 53 hotel chains. It's not bad, huh? And they tell me that they have 600, does this work? A pointer? No. 675 hotels in 42 countries now on their books for opening this year and in the future. 124,000 rooms this time around, and an amazing 168 brands between them. That's about, where are we? About 3 per chain, but of course some have 20 or more. And then the bottom right, this is the extraordinary number, is that on a same store basis, and I'll explain that in a bit, on a same store basis, the same chains as last year as this year, 12% growth in the pipeline. 12.2%. It really was going great guns last year in terms of signing new deals. So, to the past. And this is a glass half full or glass half empty. It depends how you're looking at it. What I'm measuring in this graph, I know it's a little bit complicated, but the blue line is what the chains told me they were going to open per year. So at the beginning of 2025, they told me that they would open 167 hotels and resorts. That's the blue line on 2025. What I tracked, and I guess I missed 1 or 2 here or there, what I tracked is 52 hotels opened in 54 countries in Africa. So that came to a 31% actualization rate. A little bit below average, but I mean not too much below average, but it does tells you what is actually happening as opposed to the pipeline which I'm going on to. Stressing that the blue line is what the hotel chains said they were going to open, not will open. They will open. They said they hope they will open. So we had a heady year down in 2019, 75% opened of obviously a much smaller pipeline. But if you look at it another way, in terms of openings historically, as a percentage of the pipelines, 2019, their stunning year, 16% of the pipeline opened. Last year, 10%, which is above average. So there's 2 ways of looking at it. What opened of your pipeline, or what did you think was going to open? And we did okay. So 10% there, 8% average over the years, 9% average over the years, which is about the same as the global average of what happens in the pipeline, according to lodging economics. And that's where they opened in the past. So dark blue is more than others. And so these are the countries with 2 or more hotels and resorts opening last year. Unfortunately, you can't see the numbers. I couldn't work out how to do it. There were 7 in Morocco. Cape Verde, which this map thing constantly misses out. Cape Verde 2, Tunisia 2, Rwanda 2. And you can see the other numbers there. Interesting, and Philip Woolen mentioned, DRC has popped up as quite an extraordinary new destination for hotel development and openings. 5 hotels, mostly in Kinshasa. I think there was one down in Lubumbashi, but it's very interesting to see that come up on the map. And then completing the list, there was one in Mauritania even, Mauritius, Ethiopia, Ghana, Congo, Namibia, Ghana, 2 each. So the future. The number of hotels and resorts that the chains say they will open in 2026 and 2027. Easy to see the black countries, the countries colored in black, where there is no openings due 2026, 2027. Some pretty obvious candidates there: Sudan, Central African Republic, also in the Coup Belt there, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau. The big ones, naturally, as we'll get to, Egypt and Morocco, with Egypt turning the tide from when they only opened they were only opened 3 hotels in Egypt, branded hotels in Egypt in 2024. The pipeline is now coming to reality. And these are the top 10 countries for opening. Again, top, Egypt, Morocco, down there Nigeria, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire. Interesting, East Africa. Of course, we're here in East Africa. Look at that. Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania are there with some quite big numbers opening in this year and next. But a lot of the data I show you is paperwork. It's deals that have been signed. Now, these are the levels of the pipeline opening, the whole development pipeline in Africa that's actually under construction. And the very interesting one here is, again, East Africa. But there seems to be more happening in East Africa than in most other. In fact, I think those red-colored countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, have the greatest proportion of their hotels and resorts under construction. Kenya, 79.5% of rooms are under construction. Tanzania, 77.5%, and Ethiopia, 79.9%. Egypt and Morocco, Egypt's only 51.4%, Morocco is up at 65%. So interesting, isn't it? That East Africa is coming in the future. This is what the chains say is going to open. It adds to 675, about, is it 360 or something there in the next 2 years, hotels and resorts. The very last one there, 124 hotels and resorts. It's about 20% of the pipeline. It's up from 10% last year. What does that mean? I think it means greater uncertainty on the part of the hotel chains on when things are going to happen. Everybody I talk to, we talk about delays, and that's really kind of reflected in that TBC, to be confirmed. So here they come. I used to do every single slide like this, and but anyway, just look at the last column, because the map showed you all this in map format. The last column, you've got relatively tiddlers down there in South Africa, Ghana, even Tanzania. But look at those big boxes being built in 3 countries: Egypt, Cape Verde, and Tunisia. Lots of big beach boxes, BBBs, lots of them. So, it's probably better to talk about cities and resorts than about countries as a whole. Some of those countries are so vast. Yeah, yet again, Cairo is the top. Cairo is actually an agglomeration of quite a few urban centers these days. And Cairo, what is that, 5 times the next, number 2 on the list? Look at Nairobi. Nairobi dropped off the top 10 because everything was opening. Interesting that Nairobi has stormed back in at number 5 there, because there were so many deals signed in Nairobi last year. Make that of what you want in terms of future occupancies. Why is Cairo so much greater than, say, Lagos? Hugely greater than Lagos. Well, populations tend to be quite similar, as far as the data tell me. There's GDP data for those 2 cities. I saw widely figures, but maybe it's because that the government in Egypt is promoting tourism to a greater extent than, say, the Nigerian government. Anyway, I mean, there are lots of reasons for all that. So this is quite extraordinary. If you look back 12 years, 2014, you could see that Sub-Saharan Africa wasn't really much on the radar of the hotel chains or developers, of course, and North Africa, the white line. And then what happened in 2013, Sub-Saharan Africa took off madly as the chains piled in. Some of them actually opened offices in Africa. But today, you can't even get a key card in between the 2 of them there. And remember that North Africa, the blue line, is 4 countries, because there's nothing in Libya. The orange line is about, in the pipeline, 38 countries. It's extraordinary, isn't it, how much more is happening in North Africa than Sub-Saharan Africa. So look at the WHO. Marriott, as usual, top the table, but Hilton's coming on fast, as are Accor. Look at the growth figures. They're all very, very respectable figures in terms of growth, much, much faster than pipeline growth of the international chains. And whilst Marriott is only 7%, it's on a much larger base than the others. Delighted to welcome Jazz there at number 7 and Rotana number 10 to the survey, and they storm straight into the top 10. Sorry, Jamil will shoot me if I don't mention City Blue. Where is he? City Blue Hotel there really are now claiming to be the fastest growing African hotel chain, nearly tripling their pipeline, not just in Kenya, their home, if you like, but into Ghana and other cities. And then this is the what What brands are coming in? Well, Hilton typically are there as number one, the Hilton core brand. But look also that Hilton have 3 in the top 10. They've got Hilton Garden Inn and DoubleTree. Marriott, not to be overdone, have 4 in the top 10. Couple of negatives there. DoubleTree and 4 Points both had negative growth, and I'd put that down to a lot of openings of those hotels in various locations in Africa. Look at one of the largest pipelines of all, Rixos. Extraordinary, huge hotels, 659 rooms. So the objective hasn't changed, has it? I talk about pipeline. As I said, pipeline is either under construction or it's still on paper. What do the chains want? What do the shareholders want? What do the investors want? They want growth. They want these hotels to open. So the paradox is that we have 12% growth in pipeline, 12.2% pipeline, but too few hotels are actually opening. And we've got to find a solution to turning paper into bricks. I showed you earlier that 360 hotels and resorts are due to open this year and next. If we could achieve that 35% actualization rate this year and next, then we'll get to 63 hotels opening, which will be a record. And let's say we get to that heady 219, 75% actualization rate, we'll be looking at 135 new hotels and resorts opening in Africa and creating an extraordinarily large number of jobs. Thank you very much for listening.